In this video, I'm going to show you how to get high-ticket clients with YouTube ads in 2022. My agency, Linx Digital, has helped generate multi-millions in high-ticket sales for our own clients. So we helped Amazing.com scale to $25,000 a day with YouTube ads. Now, I want to get you those kind of results, and that's what we're going to do in this video. But before we do that, I would love it if you could give me some love and smash that like button and hit the notification bell, because we all know the almighty algorithm loves it, and I want to keep making more videos for you. Alright, so the first key component of getting high-ticket clients with YouTube ads is to actually have the right offer. For me personally, I like higher ticket offers, right? So typically what I would recommend is your offer should be at the very least $1,000 to $2,000 if you're selling something in the internet marketing industry, or even in the fitness industry, you can sell high ticket. You can also go beyond that from $3,000 to even $10,000, and we've had clients who sold at $25,000. Obviously, it depends on the type of offer. If you're selling a course, $1,000 to $2,000 price point may work. If you're selling a coaching program where you have the course, but you also have a lot more engagement and you have some coaching calls, you can go up to $5,000, $10,000. And then if you're actually doing stuff for them, perhaps you're an agency, then you might be looking at $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 offers, and that's quite commonplace as well. So you want to make sure you have a high ticket offer. You also want to focus on solving a major pain point for a niche that has money. So obviously, if you're super broad, that's not going to really help you, because the broader the audience, the less money they have. Now, an example of a niche audience is what Gym Launch did, because they essentially sold a very high-ticket fitness program and coaching offer, and they sold it to gym owners. That's a very specific niche, and those gym owners have money. So you want to really focus in on that, and that's kind of the offer side. Let's talk about the right funnel to convert high-ticket clients. So typically, what I recommend is a video sales letter funnel. This is where you actually have a short 15 to 20-minute video. However, with the video sales letter funnel, it's been getting quite competitive and people have been really overusing it in 2021. So you may want to look at some other funnel types, right? If you do have a VSL funnel that's working, keep using it. But there are some alternate funnel types you can look at. Some of these include having a front-end low-ticket offer, so a $7 or a $47 offer that you sell en masse with paid traffic, and you just try to break even so you can sell them your $10,000 product later. Other types of funnels that are working in 2021 and 22 are live webinars. So instead of sending them to a recorded video sales letter or even an automated webinar, what you can do is set up a live workshop where you show up and they show up, and you actually teach them, and you get a lot of feedback and interaction, and typically that can improve your conversion rate. So that's another funnel type that's working. Another funnel type I've seen work well is a 5-day challenge funnel, where you essentially have people come in, sign up for some sort of 5-day challenge where you work with them to, let's say, get their ads running, or perhaps to launch their marketing agency, whatever it may be. And the goal is to create a quick and easy transformation that then makes it easy for them to actually ascend and buy your high ticket offer. Other offers include live events, or even full day seminars where maybe they pay $9 to get access. So essentially, there are multiple funnel types you can use. The traditional VSL funnel still works well for selling high ticket, but you may want to try some of these other funnel types. And you could also even try an automated webinar where it basically is the same thing as a VSL funnel, but the video is a lot longer, and that can kind of allow you to build a much stronger connection and get more qualified leads on the call. All right, guys, so now that you have the right offer and the right funnel, which I'm guessing if you're selling high ticket, you probably already knew some of this stuff. Now let's get into the YouTube advertising side of things. So the first key component of running profitable YouTube ads is to create a really great video ad that grabs people's attention and gets them to take action and actually sign up for your funnel. Creating a really great video ad consists of 3 elements. The first element is scripting, then shooting, and then editing, right? So let's talk about the script. When you're scripting a YouTube ad, you really want to get to the point and not make it too long, but you also want to give them enough information and enough value that they want to click through. So we typically find a good length for video ads is anywhere between 40 seconds to around 2 to 3 minutes long. And the ad needs to be as long as it needs to be, right? Do not have fluff in there. If you can say your message and the key points in 45 seconds, then that's absolutely fine. If it takes you 2 minutes and you feel like you can't cut any of that out, that's fine too. So let's get into how you can script a great ad. With scripting a great video ad, the first key piece is the hook. So you want to grasp people's attention and have them watch the rest of the video ad. An example of a really strong hook is a controversial statement. Let's say you're selling camera gear, right? You're selling a camera and it's a revolutionary new camera that actually works really well in low lighting. And a good controversial hook for that would be, did you know that all camera manufacturers out there, including all the big ones, have this one major flaw that makes videographers waste hundreds of hours each year because they have to reshoot content, right? And then you would say what that fatal flaw is and how your new camera solves it, right? So that's an example of a controversial statement where you're saying something that people perhaps haven't heard before, maybe they disagree with, but then you have reasons to back it up. Another example of a great hook could just be trying to grab their attention by using hand movements or perhaps having some sort of scene that grabs their attention. So an example of an ad I've seen with one of my clients work well is where he would actually be like, hey, 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 and then he will say whatever he has to say, and that usually grabs attention. Or people will say something like, stop what you're doing and listen to this, right? So that's another example. Now, other ways of creating strong hooks is not through what you say or even your physical actions or even the content of what you say. It could literally be the scene you're in, right? So an example of an ad that I ran years ago was an ad for Kino Body where he would open with basically this drone flying in shot. And what that did was it grabbed your attention because you saw this beautiful scene of a drone just zooming into this mansion and you immediately wanted to watch the rest of it. You wanted to know what this video was going to be about. So you could even use a scene as a hook. So with hooks, you want to test both your scripting as well as scene. Now, I would start with actual script. So the first sentence or 2 sentences could be different in different hooks. And then you would have your main body and then you could edit in the different hooks with the bodies. And that would allow you to test and see which angles work the best because the first 20 seconds really are the most important part of the ad. And if those first 10 to 20 seconds are really grabbing people's attention, then you can actually modify the rest of the ad to be in line and congruent with that first 20 seconds. So what I like to do is film one body and film 3 to 4 hooks, and then based on the hook that performs well, create more bodies. Now, after the hook, I do like to qualify the audience wherever I can. So for example, if I'm selling something that's higher priced, then I really try to do qualification because we don't want unqualified prospects. So often I'll say something like, hey, if you're not interested in YouTube ads, skip this video. Or I'll say something like, hey, if you're a business owner or a marketing agency owner, watch this video. And that kind of qualifies them in a different way where it's telling them, hey, if you're in these niches, this video is for you. If you're not, probably not for you, right? So this is also a key part of the ad. Again, it's optional. In some cases, you may not want to do heavy qualification. If you are having issues with lead quality, having qualification in the ad can help a lot. Now, once you qualify them, you actually want to explain what your offer is and what the benefits are. So typically the goal with your ad is to have them take the next step on the landing page. So if there's an opt-in that they sign up to watch a video sales letter, then you want to tell them, hey, I have a free training for you and this is what you'll learn in this free training. And all you have to do is go on the link and basically just opt in, right? You tell them what it is, what the benefits are. You'll learn X, Y, Z that's going to help you achieve whatever result, right? So once you do that, you'll have your first call to action where you tell them, hey, click the link above or below to go opt in. And you want to tell them exactly what the process is, right? Like that's what I'm telling them. You click the link above or below because sometimes the links will be above or below. And then you tell them to opt in because they're going to have to opt in on the following page. So you're priming them to take that action and to watch that video on the landing page. Now that first call to action, I like to have it early, anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds in or even earlier. Now, after you've had that first call to action, right, you basically gotten their attention, qualified them, told them what you're offering them, why it's important and how they'll benefit. And then you've told them to go click there. Then you actually can add in some social proof and some other elements of authority. So one way to build trust and authority in an ad is to actually show results of other people who've gotten great results. So an example of this would be something like, hey, we've had over 1,000 happy buyers. Here's a few of the testimonials and show a rolling wall of, let's say, 10 testimonials. And from there, that basically allows you to show them that, hey, this is legitimate. There are other people getting results from whatever this business is offering. So social proof can really help with your ad. So another way of adding social proof and building authority is actually mentioning publications you've been featured in, or maybe businesses you have helped. And this could be done earlier in the ad, right? So sometimes before the qualification stage, I may introduce myself and say, hey, I've helped clients like Amazing or Kino Body generate X amount in sales, and that can be a strong authority builder as well. I've seen other people say things like, hey, I've been featured in Forbes for helping people out with this one solution, and that's another way to do it. So you do want to have those elements of social proof and authority, but you can choose whether it's in the beginning of the ad, after the hook, or if it's later in the ad, right? And from there, you can have another second call to action, which gets them to click through again. So some optional elements you can add in, right? After you have your second call to action, or even before it, is to offer some sort of value by actually leading them with some education. So in some ads, people will actually educate and tell them, hey, here, I have 2 tips that nobody really talks about in this industry that will really help you get better results. And those tips can be ways of shifting their beliefs and showing them that, hey, this is a new way of thinking, and if you want to learn more, go click that link where I'm going to go into further ways to actually improve whatever you're doing, right? So education can be an optional part of the video ad. We've had great results with adding in educational parts, and we've had great results without. Now, one last tip I do want to mention with these video ads is you want to be definitely testing a lot of them. And I do have a video on scripting ads. If you search how to script YouTube ads, I have a full in-depth tutorial on how to script ads. So you can go check that out. All right, guys, now that you've scripted your ad, the second portion is actually shooting your ad properly. So the first thing you really want to do is you want to shoot in a quiet location with good audio. So right over here, I have a lapel mic, as you can see. This lapel mic allows me to pick up really clear audio when I'm speaking, and that's the number one mistake I see people make, is they have bad audio. You could even film with an iPhone. What you need is good audio. So if you're in a super clear location, you can just use the iPhone's default audio and be able to shoot an ad and still do it well. However, if you're in a noisier location, I would recommend getting a lapel mic. Usually they're, I think, $80 or so, and they work really, really well. And I highly recommend doing that. Now, another key video ad tip is to avoid a lot of shaking when you're holding your iPhone or your camera. So I personally have shaky hands. I'm not very good at being stable whenever I'm holding a camera. So that's why I like to have a videographer help me out, or perhaps have a friend shoot me. But I've seen plenty of people who have more stable hands, and they can just do an iPhone style selfie ad and it works super well. If you do have shaky hands, get a friend to shoot the ad for you, and that's going to help a lot. Now, another key element of shooting really great video ads is lighting. I think lighting and audio are 2 key portions of this, because with good lighting, you can have an iPhone and look amazing. So you want to make sure the light's coming onto you. So if you're shooting in an area where there's light, you want to make sure the light's falling on you, not have the light in the background, right? If it's really bright in the background, it's going to make it hard to see your face. You're just going to look really, really like dark and blurry, while the background's just going to distract people, right? So for example, we have a really bright scene behind me. The reason you can see me well is because I have a light right over here, and then we have a reflector right over there. So there's a ton of light on me. So that kind of balances it out. So you want to be aware of how lighting works. My recommendation is, if you're shooting ads and you don't understand these kind of things, just shoot a simple selfie ad in a quiet location with neutral light, have the lights on your house, and that can work quite well. Or shoot it outdoors as long as it's quiet. Now, the last key takeaway for shooting video ads is you have to bring that energy. Typically, what I like to do is if I'm going to be shooting an ad, I'll practice an hour the day before, and I'll just spend an hour just going through the ad, trying different tonalities, trying to speak faster, slower, until the ad is really natural. And then the next day, I'll shoot the ads, right? So typically, if I have a shoot with 4 ads, I'll shoot the ads one day, but I'll practice them before. Obviously, if you've been shooting a lot of ads, you don't need to practice them before, but if you've not been shooting ads, if you're new to it, or perhaps if you feel like you're a little bit stiffer or boring on camera, then absolutely spend an hour practicing, and the ROI is there. If you deliver an ad properly and are interesting, you can literally cut your lead cost in half. And I've seen this where I've had clients who've been really boring and their lead costs have been double as compared to the same kind of exact clients, but with better delivery. One last tip for delivery, make sure to do some jumping jacks or get movement, right? Do some sort of movement and drink an espresso before. I personally am always sipping coffee while I'm shooting content because it keeps me energetic. And I also find that, for example, after this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside, do a little bit of stretching, just let myself relax for a second, and then that refreshes me for the next shoot. The third key component for making great video ads so you can get more clients into your program or into your course is actually editing and post-production. I highly recommend hiring a video editor to help you edit these ads. Typically, you can find editors on Upwork or FreeUp, and you can find them at different price points, but it's a very, very high ROI hire because a great video editor can make your ads convert so much better. So in terms of actual edits and shooting tips, I would try shooting from multiple angles and editing them into your video. So if you're shooting a video ad, having different angles can really allow you to switch in between them and create a lot more movement and make things feel a lot more dynamic. Another tip is to do zoom-ins and transitions, right? So for example, right now we're shooting in 4K, so we can actually zoom in or zoom out, and that creates a feeling of movement, keeps you engaged. And then transitions as well, right? Like you can have different sorts of transitions between different parts of the video. And I'd also recommend throwing in some B-roll footage. So if you're trying to emphasize certain key points, adding in B-roll footage can really help with that. One last tip for shooting is actually moving on camera. So you can do videos where you're walking and talking, and that can often keep people interested. You can also use props like whiteboards. So you can shoot in front of a whiteboard and use the whiteboard to write down key points, and people seem to love that. So those are a few tips for making your ads more engaging. In terms of editing, I'd highly recommend adding in B-roll, editing in different angles, adding in transitions, and also using text to emphasize key points. So key points in the video, you may actually have text appear, and that can really help as well. So guys, now I'm going to show you how to set up a YouTube ads campaign so you can start getting high ticket clients from scratch with YouTube advertising. We're gonna switch to a screen share now. Okay guys, now let's quickly talk about tracking. I'm not going to bore you guys with super technical tracking details, but I'm just gonna give you the basics that you need to be able to really get the tracking down. So the tools we're gonna use here, Google Ads conversion tracking. Now, basically with the tracking, what you essentially can do is you can set up conversions with Google Ads conversions. So you go to this tools and settings, you click on conversions, and then you will click the plus button, and usually it's going to be a website conversion, right? So let's say you can either do leads, or you can, for example, if somebody is opted in, you can put them as a contact, right? And if somebody purchased, you can put them as a purchase. So for example, let's say they're a lead. So we'll call this lead opted in, right? Usually I don't use a value for leads, and I click on this one, right? Because really only a person could opt in multiple times, but we really only count the first one. And yeah, we keep the click through and the view through at 30 days and 1 day. And you would click create and continue. Now at this point, there's a few options, right? If you have a web developer, you can email the tag, you can install the tag yourself, which is the manual way. What I suggest is Google Tag Manager. So using Google Tag Manager allows you to really install tags really easily. So what Google Tag Manager is, it's basically a tool that allows you to place different tags, and tags are things like Facebook pixel, the Google conversion tracking pixel, the Google remarketing tag. And with Google Tag Manager, you install it once on your website, right? So let's say you use ClickFunnels, look up how to set up Google Tag Manager on ClickFunnels, set it up once, and then you just go in here and you can basically add tags in here. So instead of having to go inside the website and then hard coding each conversion each time you want to do it, you just go in here, add in a new tag. Let's say it's the Google Ads conversion tracking ad tag. All that you'll do is you'll go here, you'll copy conversion ID, bam, conversion label. It's just so easy with Google Tag Manager. And then you'll figure out the triggers. So if, for example, usually you'll trigger a lead on the thank you page after they opt in. So you'll have an opt-in and then you'll take them to a thank you page. So what you'll do is you'll add a new trigger, and let's say visited thank you page for lead,
click here, page view, and only on some page views. And then you would do, page URL. And then you would add in, let's say, thank you page lead form. Now, obviously, I'm not going to save this because as you can tell, we have a pretty complex tracking system. I don't want to mess it up and get my tracking guy angry at me, but you get the idea, right? Now, let's talk about how to set up campaigns and the various targeting options with YouTube ads, right? So I'm going to show you how this whole thing works, right? So what you do is you click on a new campaign. You're going to go click on either sales or leads. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. You're going to click on video and you're going to get this drive conversions. And you'll name your campaign, whatever you want to name it. Typically, I'll put in the targeting and the funnel I'm sending them to, as well as the name of ads I'm basically targeting. So, and also put in the date. So I'll do something like put usually the date first, so it's easy to see. And then the bidding types. So there are two main bidding types you want to keep in mind. There's target CPA and there's maximize conversion. So I'll put in something like target CPA. So that means that it's basically what Google's going to try to do is get you conversions at a certain cost per conversion with target CPA. With maximize conversions, it's better for newer accounts, but it can cost more. So let's just say I'm going to do target CPA to get started. If you're just starting out, I would do maximize conversions. So, and then you would do, let's say, your targeting options. So one targeting option could be YouTube advertising keywords, right? Keywords, and then let's say I'm going to put in 3 ads into it. So I'll call this multiple ads because I'm going to put 3 ads into this campaign. So with target CPA, there's typically going to be a bid. So I'm going to put in a $20 target CPA. And I'm kind of telling Google that, hey, I'm willing to pay $20 for a conversion. Now, it doesn't mean that conversions will come in for $20. A lot of times they can come in for lower. So it's something to keep in mind. This is where you set the daily budget. I typically will start campaigns at anywhere from $25 to $50, put in $50. Typically, Google will tell you to spend a lot more budget. However, in my experience, it's better to start with a small budget. If a campaign goes well, you can always increase it. But in my experience, it's always better to be a little bit more conservative. So a pretty big change that's happened recently is you're not able to unselect video partners on the display network. Now, this basically means that your ad will show up on third-party websites, right? Not just on YouTube. And this could be websites like CNN.com, it could be random bloggers websites, etc. So just a heads up on this is a recent change and you can't really unselect this. And honestly, I don't really know a workaround other than reusing old campaigns. So just reusing old campaigns and changing the audience and ad on them, but keeping them as they are, or using Google Ads Editor, which I have a video on the channel if you look up YouTube Google Ads Editor tutorial. And with Google Ads Editor, we're still able to duplicate campaigns and keep them without the display network. I'm sure that will go away soon, so don't assume that it's going to be around for long. But yeah, that's just a heads up on that. I would just put in English if you're targeting the English market. And inventory type, I like expanded because I don't really care if my ads show up in front of, a violent video or whatever. For me, it doesn't make a difference. However, if you're working for a brand that really cares about that, I would choose standard or limited inventory. Now, you can also decide where you want to show up or not show up. Typically, live streaming videos might be a good idea to kind of block those because if people are live streaming something, people are not going to want to really watch a long ad. And yeah, other than that, if you're trying to avoid showing in front of mature audiences, you can do that. Typically, again, as I said, I don't really care too much, so I'll just have live streaming videos there. You can use these site link extensions. We've tested these. You'll want to make sure that you can't send them to the same page you're sending your ad to. So if your ad URL is, let's say, linxdigitalagency.com/case study, you can't send them to the same URL. So what you could do here is you could send them to a frequently asked questions or tips and tricks or another page that's kind of relevant, and then you can get a higher click-through rate with this. So site link extensions can often work quite well if you know what you're doing with them. So this is the product feed. You can show basically products with your ads. This is more for an e-commerce feature, so that's something to keep in mind if you're doing e-commerce. I'll usually do account level conversion settings. I may exclude TV screens because it's kind of hard to click on TV screens. In terms of frequency capping, I will do this. I will typically put in, let's say in terms of impressions per day, 3 impressions per day and then 2 per week. That's a decent number. It makes sure that your ads are not showing to the same people like bazillion times. And yeah, you can even have an ad schedule so you can decide when your ads show up. So I'm going to cut into past Shash again for another quick update. So back in the day, you could actually choose between responsive and in-stream. So in the past, you would see this. And what this would be is you would be able to choose between responsive and standard. And now you can only choose responsive. And what this essentially means is your ads will show up either as video discovery or in-stream, but you can't basically choose which one. Now, this isn't a big deal. We're getting really good results with responsive campaigns, so we're not really worried about it. In one of our accounts, they're outperforming the in-stream ads quite a bit. So there isn't that much of a downside to this, right? Yes, it is less control, but many people are making it out to be the end of YouTube ads, and in reality, that's not the truth. You just have to get used to the new format, and we'll go over the new format later in this video. And same thing here with your ad group name. You can name the ad group. Typically, what we'll do is we'll have 1 campaign, 1 ad group, and 3 to 4 different ads in there. So the demographics also are a really useful option here. So for example, if you're selling a high ticket info product, you're probably gonna not sell to 18 to 24-year-olds, and you probably want to exclude the lower 50% of household incomes. So we'll play around and test this, but typically we find for high ticket offers, we will either go top 30% or top 50%. And one thing to keep in mind is that household income is only in certain countries, and it's really a lot more accurate in the US. In certain countries like Brazil, for example, it's there, but it's not as accurate. Now, with YouTube, there are a bunch of different targeting options, right? So you have a lot of these audiences. So with audiences, you have multiple types, right? So there is remarketing and similar audiences. So this is basically YouTube's version of remarketing and lookalikes. So remarketing is basically, let's say, people who've already interacted with your YouTube channel or your website or your email list, right? People you've uploaded. The other option is similar audiences, which is people that are similar to other people who've taken action. So people who are similar to your YouTube viewers, people who are similar to converters, people who are similar to website visitors. So that's kind of Google's version of lookalike audiences. We haven't had amazing success with them, but they're worth testing out, especially if you can layer them with something else to make them narrower. So an incredible custom audience that you can use is custom intent audiences, which are basically based on what they're searching on google.com. So in our case, as you can see, if they're searching for YouTube advertising, we can target them on YouTube with that custom audience. So that's a really cool targeting idea. Optimized targeting is a new feature. What it does, it uses your landing page information, your website, etc., to help optimize your ads. You can disable this after. We haven't really tested this because it's a very new feature, so we're still the jury's still out on this. Now, there are more targeting options, right? There's actually, even in audiences, there's a lot more audiences in here, right? So on top of these custom audiences, there's in-market and life events. So in-market is when they're searching for something. So for example, they could be looking for certain business services. So if you're, let's say, an staffing and recruitment company, there is an audience for people who are looking for staffing and recruitment services. So again, this is a really, really useful targeting option. So with life events, you can target people who are looking at creating new businesses, look at people who just graduated college, people who are renovating their home or are going to renovate it, even marriage, moving, people who've gotten a new pet or a new cat or dog, people who are buying a home soon, right? So there's a gold mine of targeting options here. And then you also have other options like keywords, where basically you target YouTube videos based on their metadata. So if a YouTube video has a certain title and you, let's say, put in, let's say, e-commerce advertising. So YouTube will go out and find videos related to e-commerce advertising and show your ad in front of those videos. So that's one option. So topics are basically videos about certain subjects. So then YouTube will show your videos in front of certain topics. So as you can see, if I wanted to, I could click business and industrial, and then I can go down here and go into advertising and marketing. And then I can target people who are watching videos about email marketing or direct mail marketing. And there's so many of these. So there's like SEO services, I believe, as well. And then the last one is placements. So placements allows you to target channels and videos that are about specific targeting. So one really great tool we use is this tool called TubeSift. So you can log in here. You can actually put in a keyword and it will give you a bunch of videos about that topic. So let's say we want dieting tips for keto, right? Let's say you have a keto product that helps you lose weight. So now you have a bunch of really popular videos that are about keto and weight loss, and you can basically show your ad in front of these videos. So let's say you're selling a high-ticket coaching program on how to scale your Amazon business. So let's say scale Amazon business. You can enter that keyword. And now you're getting a bunch of videos that are all about scaling Amazon. It does take a little bit of time to pull up these results, but you can just let this run on the background. And once this is done, get the links from here, cut, go into enter, paste, and then you have your placements. Now you're targeting videos about Amazon. Perfect. And then you would throw your ad in here. Okay, so now we're actually going to show you how to set up your ad. So the first thing you need to do is actually go into YouTube and get your ad URL. Now, if you haven't uploaded your ad already, what you can do is click this plus button, click upload video. So you'll need to create a YouTube account, which you can do with any Gmail account. But then you go in there, click that button, upload video, set it as unlisted, and then grab this URL here and go inside Google Ads and put it in here, right? So what you're going to see here is in the past, you could choose between responsive and in-stream, and now it's only responsive, which means you have both video discovery ads. So this is a video discovery ad. And then you also have the in-stream format, which is this right here, which is the traditional YouTube ad. Now, we've had great results with both formats, so this is completely normal. Do not worry about it. You'll still get great results with YouTube ads, but there are a few key differences. The first thing you'll notice is there's a lot less copy on the in-stream format. On the in-stream format, what you have here is this headline right here. And then you also have this call to action button. And then obviously you'll have your display URL, your final URL, etc. But you're not going to have these two right here. These are just for the responsive format. So if you look at this responsive format, you will see that this is the long headline and this is our description. So this gives you a lot of copy. And what you can do with this is you can actually split test the copy here and be able to really increase click-through rates by split testing ad copy. Now, keep in mind with this current format with video action ads, which is basically target CPA and maximize conversions, you are not going to have video discovery on the desktop. On desktop, all you're going to have is in-stream. So if you try to click on video discovery on desktop, all you see is in-stream right here. And that's how that works. Another thing to keep in mind is your ads will show up on Google Video Partners. Like we discussed, that is compulsory and you don't have the option to change that now. So what you're going to have to do is essentially make sure to take a look at how your ad looks like on the Video Partner side. So over here, you can see that on mobile, you have the video discovery option as well as the in-stream option. So these will show up on third-party websites. So for example, this in-stream ad will show up in front of videos in other websites, while this may show up on other pages on their website as well. So these are going to show up in third-party websites. Just keep that in mind. On the desktop version of Google Video Partners, you're only going to have it show up as in-stream in front of videos. So if you're, for example, you're on a news site and you click on a video, you may actually get shown an in-stream ad. Now, one last thing to keep in mind is you can also create a companion banner. So a companion banner is basically an image or a group of images that you can upload. Essentially with in-stream ads, what it does is if you go on YouTube and in-stream, this is where your companion banner is going to show up. And that's why the format is 300 by 60. And then that's going to increase your click-through rates if you have a really great companion banner right here. I would typically recommend using something that kind of summarizes what your ad is and like the main call to action. So something like click below to get your free training, and then they can go get the free training. So another last key piece of advice I want to give you guys is to name the ad properly. With this ad, for example, since it's this script and storyboard ad, I have that in the name and I keep it consistent between campaigns. If I'm using this ad in a bunch of different campaigns, I'm going to keep it with that same name because that will make analysis much easier. And that's it, guys. When you click this, you will create your first YouTube ads campaign. Now, in the next part of the video, we're going to talk about how you can analyze your results for a campaign and use that data to make better decisions. All right, so once you've actually set up your campaigns and you have had a few days, then you'll want to look at your campaigns to see what performance is like. So I'm looking at one of my campaigns, and one of the things you want to look at is, let's say, your cost per lead. If you're running a VSL funnel where you're sending traffic to VSL, you want to understand your cost per lead, and you want to really aim for under, $15 if you can. $20 okay, $15 is great. $10 and lower for high ticket coaching is awesome. Now, if you're in a niche like health and fitness, you'll probably want to be aiming for $3 to $5, or if you're in a niche like music coaching, etc. Right? So depending on your niche, your cost per lead could be anywhere from $3 to like $25, right? Ultimately, what matters is how much revenue you make from that lead, and that's why some niches are more expensive than others. Now, a few things you want to take a look at is I also have a custom conversion set up for book calls and the book calls cost per acquisition. So we're getting $173 per book call, which is I'm pretty happy with. And then a few other metrics you want to look at is if you click on these columns, you want to have a click-through rate, you want to have cost per click and average cost per view. So those are also important to take a look at. So the reason I like looking at click-through rate is it tells me how well the ad is doing. So we're getting a 2.96% click-through rate, which tells me the ad is hitting with the audience and people like this video ad. Our cost per click is pretty high because this is a competitive niche. Average cost per view is also quite high because, once again, this is a competitive niche, right? But yeah, overall, I'm decently happy with the performance of this campaign. So that gives you an idea of how to optimize your campaigns. Now from here, what you can do is you can go into the ad level. In this case, we only have one ad, but if you have multiple ads, you can take a look at the performance of each ad and how they're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much how to analyze your campaigns. And once you've got your first campaign set up, all you have to do is just test more targeting options and test more ads. And then you're off to the races with YouTube ads. And yeah, you could make it work quite well.
All right, guys. Now you're ready to start running YouTube ads and start getting clients with YouTube ads. If you want to learn more advanced YouTube advertising tactics, you should check out my coaching program. So there'll be a link below to check that out. We've had students do multi-million dollars in revenue after joining our program. So go check that out, and that can definitely help you get to the next level. And once again, thanks for watching the video. Absolutely would love it if you would hit the like and subscribe button.